Just thought I'd make a video on these Stihl 4-mix weed eaters. A common problem they have is with the clutch. The problem is the clutch bushings seize inside the clutch shoes. It happens just over time. Moisture can do it if you leave your equipment outside, or just over time they'll do it. It's a pretty common problem I see, especially with the Stihl 4-mixes. And it's not that big of a deal to fix. What you want to do is go ahead and take your engine shroud off, and I always unbolt the engine from the clutch housing and leave the clutch housing onto your drive tube assembly. That way you can get the engine out here by itself where you can work with a clutch. Take you a socket that is just a little bit bigger than the opening where the bushings go, and take you a hammer and a punch and drive those bushings out. And I've already cleaned these up. I've cleaned the holes out where the bushings go, and I've cleaned the bushings up, and I'm going to show you how to reinstall it. The way I always do it, I take and lay the engine with the flywheel side facing up, and take one of your clutch plates. It doesn't matter which one, because both of your clutch plates are the same. There's no difference in them. You want to turn one of them and you'll notice one of them's got an indention in it. You want to put one of them with the indention facing the flywheel. Next, you want to take your clutch bushings and get those ready, and you want to go ahead and put your one bushing on one side. I always like to take a little hammer or a pair of pliers or something and tap it until it seats into where the clutch plate is. And what that does is, when you're putting the rest of the clutch components together, I'll show you here in a second what I mean by that. You want to make sure and get your clutch bushings fully seated into the flywheel. Alright, next, what you want to do is, you've got two wavy washers. You want to put one of your wavy washers down on the bushings on the side that you just installed your bushings on. Because what that does is that creates your clearance for your clutch shoes to work. Then next, you want to grab your clutch, and if you'll notice, there's an arrow on the clutch. What that means is that's the side that you want to install onto the machine. So just take it, and if sometimes you'll have to mess with the bushings just a little bit to get the clutch to go down on them. Just take and tap it down on it, and make sure the washers didn't get caught between the bottom clutch plate and the clutch shoes. Then go ahead and put your other clutch plate on, and then your two screws. And I'll show you in a second how to check and make sure that this clutch is assembled right. Let me go ahead and put the bolts in it and get those tightened down. What I always do is take a screwdriver and just run through the flywheel where the fins are at, up under the clutch, and that'll hold the flywheel. And you just want to snug these bolts down. Just get them good and tight. Then what I usually do is take a flat tip screwdriver, and at each side where the bolts are at, you're going to see one of your clutch shoes. And what I always do is work the clutch shoe in and out to make sure that it will expand and come back to the closed position. That way you know that when you rev up your engine, your clutch shoe is going to expand and turn your trimmer head. And then once you let off the trigger and the engine comes back to an idle, your clutch shoe is going to go back to the closed position. And then just do the same with the other side, just like that. You can hear it snap, so it's closing back. And that's all there is to repairing the clutch on these Stihl full mix trimmers.